Are we live? Are we live? Are we live? Devils fall 1-0 to the Florida Panthers. They're 13-6-1 on the season. They drop yet another game in the post Jack Hughes era. They're now 1-2-0, I think, in the post Jack Hughes era. Bad shooting night again all around for the Devils. Get goalied by Bobrovsky there. And Jake Allen has a nice little goalie type performance himself. But I can't talk about any of this until I know that we are live. So let me know in the comment section below if we are live, and then I will proceed. I think we are. My YouTube says that we are live, so I'm going to just proceed as if we are live. Thank you, everybody, for joining us here on Speaking of the Devils. I'm your host, Ryan Novozinsky, joining you from my home studio right here in lovely downtown Ewing, New Jersey. Once again, the hustling, bustling metropolis of Ewing, New Jersey. I'm joking. It's just like there's like three buildings in this town. Um, Devils drop their second in a row. You haven't seen that many times this season. Obviously, a team with only six regulation losses, one in overtime. But the welts of the Jack Hughes injury are finally starting to show a little bit there. You just saw that with some of their offensive miscues tonight, and then we'll get to that. But again, we like to start the show with just like a couple big picture takeaways, and I'll start with this. We'll start with exactly that, the bad puck luck for the Devils of late. Excuse me, can't score the puck seemingly, even no matter how quality the chances are. I have the numbers right here. Entering the game, the Devils were shooting 6.3% over their last 5 games. They're 10% on the season, which is 20th in the NHL. And there are times I will concede where you don't necessarily want to be the team that shoots at a necessarily like high clip because it doesn't seem sustainable. I understand that, and you want things to be a little more level there. But this is just bad puck luck over the past couple of nights here. Anyone has to start scoring in droves because John Fisher pointed out on Twitter, Mercer and Nemitz are the only Devils with more than 2 goals in their last 10 games. Look, the Jack Hughes injury, you're not. I understand that you're not really going to replicate his offensive ability because he's one of the best players in the league. But someone has to step up, and with some of the with this scoring drought continuing right now. Jesper Bratt, I'd like to see maybe a couple goals from him. Nico Hischier got the one the other day. Maybe he can start potting some as well. But the third guy I want to talk about, and this brings us into our next point, is Timo Meier. Timo Meier. Let's start with that line that he was on tonight, Timo and Connor Brown and Dawson Mercer. That just didn't work. I mean, that was like pretty pathetic tonight. A lot of low lights, couldn't generate enough. It needed to be broken up, and it was broken up. The middle or the top six shakeup there at the end saw Meyer joining a line with Hischier and Bratt, which is probably where he belongs, and I think they even got some good opportunities there towards the end, which is good. And then they had Gritsuk, Mercer, and Brown. So, yeah, Timo, look, at one point that line, 4 to 14 a shot attempt disadvantage, and I'm sure the expected goals were pretty out of whack too. Brutal. Timo needs to be better. Okay, you are getting paid. You make 70 million. You have a $70 million total contract. You make like what, 8.8 or something like that million a year. When a star player, a player that can score the puck like Jack can, goes down, you should be potting goals anyway because you do get a lot of good opportunities here and there. Everyone always talks about the great analytics around Timo Meier. It's time to start potting some of these as well. It's time to start burying some of these as well. And then tonight it was just pretty ugly all around. I mean, look, I get it. He has physicality. I get he brings that some nights, and he's kind of a menace to play against some nights. But other nights like tonight, it's just slow skating, slow handwork, no playmaking skills, nothing like that. Like you're not getting the goals, so you might as well add something else there. And it's just you're not getting it from him at this point. My man Garrett on Twitter, he pointed out this. This is another good stat that I'm just ripping from Twitter. Timo has 2 goals in his last 15, and he has 32 shots on goal in his last 7 games. They have to at some point start going in, and I would totally agree with that. So Timo's another guy that needs to step up. And finally, we just have to before we get into the comment section, just have to note the goaltending performance tonight. It was superb. It was superb. Both goalies tonight. Jake Allen was the reason the Devils stayed in that game. They had their offensive miscues tonight again, as mentioned. But Allen kept them in. He stopped 1.39 above expected tonight. He should be the 1A goaltender until proven otherwise. I understand the argument against is that okay, he's someone that he can't necessarily get the reps of a 1A goaltender, and you might when you have 35-plus-year-old goaltenders, um, you have a tendency to want to split them up maybe a little bit. I think that's where the Devils are trying to they're trying to get a good mix there, but come on, at some point, I mean, you just have to ride the hot hand at some point because he's the only goalie that has stepped up this year for the Devils. The only goalie, sans that one game against LA that Markstrom had was really good. And oh, by the way, Nico Dawes did step up as well too, so he has about as many games as Markstrom does stepping up for the Devils. Jake Allen is your only reliable guy this year. He needs to continue to be the 1A goaltender. Let's start. Give a shout out to Bobrovsky too. He stopped 2.25 above expected. That is ridiculous. If you don't know advanced metrics, let's just say that's really freaking good. So that's about it for the big picture takeaways. Let's dive into what your guys are saying in the comments. Hopefully, we have an active comment section right now. We're going to start here. Zach Chin, I do see your question right here. I saw this before. I'm going to say this for the newsletter. So look for I think you're back-to-back newsletter question of the week champs. Because we have the show to address right now. But I do love, Zach, do not stop these questions of the day. I love them, man. Let's continue. Tyler Seba, our boy Tyler Seba says the lack of goal scoring, I imagine you mean goal scoring, not goalie scoring, needs to be addressed. They can create the offense, but no one can finish. Yeah, that's what's hampering them right now. This terrible puck luck. I would love to see. I know Money Puck isn't great with like selecting the past few games, and like you can't work with it as much as you can like a natural stat trick. But I wish there was a way to see what the Devils' goals, expected goal differential, or sorry, goals for above expected is in the past couple of nights. I'm sure that it's just ridiculous. Okay, yeah, actually, we can do it. Last 10 games, goals for above expected. The Devils are the fourth worst team in the league. Okay, minus 6.2. They're trailing only the Hurricanes, the Detroit Red Wings, and the Nashville Predators have had more. So a lot of good offensive zone time, a lot of good, like as Tyler mentions it here, you can create offense, you can enter the zone, you can start creating these opportunities. But what do you do once you get there? The Devils haven't been able to bury any of their chances of late, and that's a concerning trend. But it's one of those things that you kind of hope starts trending the other way. This game confirmed a trend that I was worried about entering, this stretch without Jack Hughes, and that's the 1-0 games. These games where you have to kind of grind it out and gut it out, and a game, quite frankly, where you get goalied. Are the Devils were grinding out results even before they got Jack Hughes out of the lineup. Now Jack Hughes is out of the lineup, and you expected a lot of these results to start going the other way. These kind of coin toss kind of games. And this game confirmed that is something that could happen to this Devils team, and we knew it was possible. Obviously, team's not going to go 82-0 or 81-1 or whatever, but you just don't want to see this trend continue. I thought the Devils, I thought they were a little out of sync tonight, and Bobrovsky had, was obviously, spinning on his head tonight. But you just don't want to see these results trending that way, and goal scoring is a big part of that. Meadowlander says Florida game plans us just like the Canes, pressure the puck and wait for Devils mistakes, works every time. Great way to sum it up there, Meadowlander. Yeah, that's definitely how the Canes play against them. That's how Florida played tonight. And what I was impressed with Florida tonight, Florida, with their stars out of the lineup, they kind of simplified things, right? They got to their angles, I felt. I think the Devils need to start incorporating a little bit of that. Simplify your game plan. I thought they created some opportunities, especially in that third. It's the tide started to turn in that regard. But play a simpler game like Florida did, and exactly that, like pressure the puck and wait for the other team to make mistakes. And I think you'll have a lot more success. So I know that Florida has a worse record than you. That's fine. But I think in dealing with their stars being out, I think that you're going to have to make adjustments like that. So let's see. Let's move on It's Sue Nathan. Sue Nathan says it's going to be a long wait, 8 weeks. It sure is. Emily Kaplan had the update before that Jack Hughes like. So the reason I posted about that was because people are like, oh, like that's already the update they gave. I think the update they gave was that Jack would be reevaluated in 6 weeks, right? Which would bring them around the around Christmas time. The update that Emily Kaplan had was that he could outright return to the lineup. That's best case scenario, of course. So it might end up somewhere in the middle. But he might return somewhere around Christmas if Emily Kaplan's reporting and if things hit the best case scenario. All we know is that Jack loves to come back from injuries early. He did a couple years ago with one of his shoulder injuries. I can't remember when it was. It was like a February or January, something like that, where he was out for a couple weeks. He was supposed to be out for like 5 weeks. I actually reported that he was supposed to be out for 5, 6 weeks, and I think he came back after 4 or something like that. So he does definitely likes to return early. Let's see what happens with Jack Hughes. Otherwise, it's going to be a long 8 weeks. I would agree with you there because whereas I did see some positive offensive signs there at the end there, and the team the line shuffles seemingly worked a little bit, at least better than relatively speaking. It's just you can't get away with the how out of sync the team was those first couple periods. Rick Roma, I think this is Rick Roma, R.Roma3 says, don't worry, guys. Fitz will get a goal scorer in a few months, and then the team is out of a playoff spot. Fitz. Yeah, again, I think that's it's just the entire league is probably going to be patient right now. There's so much parity in the league right now. I think that's due to the team, the whole league kind of sucking. I know Sarah Sivian today actually had a really good post where it was like, yeah, there's so much parity in the league because the Colorado Avalanche are the only good team this year. They're the only team that's not middling this year. I would tend to agree with that. The Devils, whenever they're healthy, I think they can. I think they can be in that echelon too. They obviously beat the Avalanche a number of weeks ago, but that's a big if when they're healthy. So you're not going to see that. Fitzgerald, this game shows you more than anything. These past couple games show you more than anything that this team needs a goal scorer. They need a goal scorer in that top 6. Add someone to the mix to make it fresh, because right now it's not working. Puck luck is really, really bad for these Devils right now. Kelly Adele. Kelly, how are you? Says, are we live? Are we live? Yes, Kelly, we are live. Thank you very much for tuning in. Andrew Kalor says, we desperately need a goal scorer. Jake, please come back. Jake is back. I think you mean Jack. And you add too that Jake played great. Now I'm mixing it up, Andrew Kalor. But yes, I would completely agree with you that the team needs a goal scorer. Something fierce right now. It's really bad. Zach Chin says this loss was kind of depressing. We looked outmatched at so many points, and then what few chances we did get were easily swallowed up. Yeah, that's what I said. I think that there were spurts tonight of good offense, but every single time the offense went and died at Bobrovsky's glove or Bobrovsky's pads or his stick or wherever. Blocker. Just listing all goalie equipment now. His mask too. Why not? I already listed every single other piece of equipment. Yeah, he was on fire tonight. Again, the exact number is he stopped 2.25 above expected. That is ridiculously good. Very depressing game. But look, I think that I don't think the team is down and out without Jack. I think that it's going to be a long 8 weeks for sure. You're going to have to survive it somehow, but I think this team has a lot more, puck luck. Puck luck's a weird thing because they're getting the attempts, and I think they're getting some shots there. A lot of them did come from the perimeter, I noticed there later on at least. Try to get more quality chances in front of the net, and then I think this team can be fine. That's easier said than done. There's little doubt about that, but try to do that, and that can mend some things. But right now, we will see. Chizich88, I get people are frustrated about the lack of offense, but my takeaway from this game is that Bob still dominates the Devils and Allen is without question R1A. Yeah, I said that off the top too, Chizich, in my little goalie shout-outs. Yeah. Again, as our friend Zach just mentioned there, they did have quality offense at times, but it was just swallowed up by Bobrovsky. There are going to be games where you get goal lead, and I'm not defending the Devils right now. I thought that was a pretty ugly game. but I don't think it's as down and out as, I wouldn't go as doom and gloom as a lot of Devils fans are going right now, where our friend Zach here is saying that he's depressed. You're good. I think everything is gonna be fine. They're gonna get healthy. We're inching closer to the 1 month timeline that Brett Pesce was supposed to be out. Um, let's see. You guys are gonna ask me, oh, what's the latest on Brett? I don't know off the top of my head right now. I'll have to do some digging on that, but I'll say this, like that we're inching closer to that timeline that's going to be huge. Like again, we saw the trickle down effect of what Brett Pesce being out of this lineup had initially, especially for this Devils team. They kind of shorted up a little bit there, but now things are breaking down. I quite frankly, I think Dennis Cholowski has been a massive disappointment now. You might have to get him out of the lineup. You might have to shake up some of these defensive pairs too. Um, Throw Ethan Edwards in the game. Why not? At this point, like there's been a bunch of defensive breakdowns that why not throw him in there? But when Brett Pesce gets back, I think that things will be fine. Um, let's move on. Zach Chin says Timo has looked so lost since he cooled down. So many head scratching plays. WTF was he doing 40 feet offside when we were trying to recover the puck in our own zone? There's been like head scratching is a good way to put it. There's been a bunch of those lately from Timo. There was one last game that I noted, but I didn't mention on the stream. He's in the defensive zone. He has this. I don't know how else to describe it other than boneheaded pass to. I think it was the intended guy was Brendan Dillon. And I only say that because he was the only guy in the vicinity there, and he kind of passed it to like his own, Allen's or Markstrom was at the time Markstrom's own high slot. And Tampa just pounces on it, and they didn't score there, thankfully. And I think that they actually drew a penalty there in the D zone shortly thereafter. But there's been a lot of weird Timo plays of late. He's been skating slow. Things have not been going great for him. And I'll say this, like you're right. He had the really hot start to the season. It's time to step on the brake, it's time to step on the brake. He has stepped on the brakes. It's time to step on the gas again, Timo, because your best player is out of the lineup. They need a scorer. Go be that scorer that the Devils traded for you for. Go be that scorer, because right now the results have not been great. Let's move on. And NF Devils. For some reason, it's showing your guys as like little ats, because I know this is Noah. So I guess if I know you, I'll say who it is. But for some reason on my chat, it's saying otherwise. Like you guys see this right here. You guys see that? It says NF Devils. That's my man Noah. The Panthers kill is incredibly aggressive. They were asking for quick movement to destroy them. Just couldn't get it. I need the PP to get going more than I need air to breathe. Yeah. Power play, not great tonight. That Panthers kill, as you mentioned, one of the best units in the league. I'd have to double check that. Let's see what they are. But I'm just basing that purely off eye test right now, because they were tenacious tonight. They looked like your penalty kill did at the beginning of the season. NHL penalty kill rankings. Of course, it's not going to give me this penalty. Okay, because I typed in penalty rankings, penalty kill rankings. But oh my god, I hate when StatViews does this stupid crap where it like gives you last season stats. Florida is, oh wow, they're like even like bottom of the league. Wow, so you guys might not just power play might just not be good. I will say this about the power play. I thought Nemitz was awesome there. I thought Nemitz was awesome there tonight. I thought Nemitz deserves another shout out. He was awesome in all three zones tonight. I got to see how much ice time he had tonight. Because just another masterclass from Nemitz, who has just been stepping it up in an insane way. He led all skaters with ice time. Had a shot tonight. It might have been a shot on the power play too. I think it was, yeah, because he dinged the post. But no, he dinged the post, so it doesn't count as a shot. He was excellent tonight, and he has been for the past couple of weeks. So it's good to see. Rick Roma says, this is the problem when your star player is made of glass. Watching all these number one picks dominate the league is kind of a bummer since our number one is never there. The number one picks sure have been. I saw that metric today where it's like the leaders in points in the league, I think, are it's all the guys that you would think of. It's Macklin, it's Nathan McKinnon, McDavid, Celebrini's third, Bedard fourth. Good Lord. Oh my gosh. All the top four is all number one picks. That's crazy. I can understand why you'd be upset about that. I mean, you're obviously going to be upset when your star player's out and injured, and that's, that's to be expected. But this is, I understand this is a freak injury, but this does happen to Jack. Like he has been out for a number of years, and you just want to see Jack play 82 games at some point. You want to see that durability. Obviously, this one, we can't. And I'm not even saying this. Like I'm not chalking this up to being a freak injury, but because it is a freak injury. So I'm not going to chalk this up to Jack being injury prone. But he has shown that in years past. One and two, it's like you see that at the top of the league and you just get envy. I completely understand the frustration there, Rick. Jay Snow says this team way too soft. This team's way too soft. They need more guys who can get to the blue and score and screen goalies. Yeah, for sure. Again, do the ugly things. Get to those dangerous areas. I thought that the Devils did that excellently to start the season. They were actually getting some of those, even those net front goals. And even even screens would help this team a lot because they do fire it from the perimeter quite a bit. But yeah, I mean, when I talked to Martin Brodeur on the show here a couple weeks ago, and he says the Devils need to kind of get more toughness. He's not talking about you go get another Curtis McDermott. No, he's talking about guys that can do that, guys that can get net front, and screen goalies and do the nasty things that will create even better opportunities for your stars because that's how they'll be able to thrive. And they're just not being able to do that right now. Let's move on. Jay Snow, Timo is so inconsistent. If you're not going to score, you have to bring that physical element. Completely agreed. And I'll say this too. That has been completely out of just out of it of late. You haven't seen that element from Timo because and I said that off the top. It's if you're not going to provide that, bring something else to the table. Be hard on the forecheck. He can do that sometimes. I think you stamp him with Nico and that regardless of what the third guy is there, because I know that things went south there when that line was together just a week ago or so. But just keep him glued to Nico. I think good things will end up happening. Because Nico's starting to turn it around a little bit offensively late. Gets the goal last game. Maybe, and then when Jack's back, maybe you experiment with Jack and Timo again. I think that would be fun to see again. I know that hasn't worked in years past, but at this point, why the hell not? Because it's not working of late. Chizich said if we still can't score versus the Flyers, we can start to get worried. Yes, 100%. Little programming note: I will not be at the Flyers game. I will also not be at the game next Wednesday versus the Blues, though I still might stream that night. I will not be streaming this Saturday versus the Flyers because, quite frankly, I have so many PTO days that I haven't used to end the season here, or sorry, to end the year here. And if I don't use them, I lose them, and I have to burn them before. So there might be a couple stretches here and there where I'm out and we don't have the stream. But my priority is to always still stream, even if I'm off, kind of thing. We'll figure that out. But Saturday I will not be because Saturday I have plans. So Saturday I get a little devil's break. So that's good for me right now because they're not looking too hot. Michael says they looked way better compared to Tuesday. Play like that on Saturday against Philly. Yeah, that's why I wasn't necessarily because I knew that you'd see some of the doom and gloom tonight about how they looked offensively and everything like that. And I kind of am looking at this game relatively to last game, and I think that it was a lot better. So I would agree with you there, Michael. Jason, no, the Devils struggle so much with pressure on the PP. They don't know how to move the puck fast enough. Yeah, fair point. And I know that things are kind of in flux right now. But at some point you're gonna have to figure it out. And at some point you might want to see, sustained chemistry with all these guys out. Like you can afford to change up the units on the power play when you have a guy like Jack and you have all these other guys in the lineup. But right now with people, still getting back from injury, with some players still getting back from injury and Jack still out of the lineup, maybe keep consistent units. Maybe throw Nemitz on there, and stop changing it up so much. We'll see. Andrew Kalor says we had the chances. Hats off to Bob, no doubt. Once again, cannot stress this enough. Bob had a 2.25 goal save above expected tonight. That is ridiculous. Jay Snow, we have 1 goal in 8 periods, and Mosher put that goal in. Yeah, he sure did. Westbound on Olympic says, I think that's your name. For some reason, it's giving me these weird names. It's not giving your display names. I don't know if that's coming up in the comments, but whatever. I'll stop talking about it. Says, if not for Allen, this was a 3-0 loss. The Bob The Bob was great too, but Devils were sloppy at times and a step behind Florida all game. All game. Yeah, look, I think at the beginning of the third, they started to change course a little bit. I thought they took some momentum there at the beginning, but then the things just fell off, right? And at the end, get a couple opportunities there on Bob, but that was the main difference tonight was goaltending. So again, I'll reference what our friend Michael has set up here. And that they looked way better compared to Tuesday. I think you saw some adjustments. I think you saw some of these guys get a little more comfortable now that they're back from injury. But yeah, you want some of these goals to start going in. There's no doubt about that. Moving on, Zach Chin. I'm going to the game in Philly on Saturday. Do I wear my jersey or do I not get assaulted? Overblown. Overblown. When I went to a game in Philly last year as a fan. I will not say what fan I was of, because I am an unbiased journalist. Um, I went and I had some great conversations with Philly fan, and I sat in like the nosebleeds too. So wear your jersey, Zach. Wear your jersey. But again, I will not tell you what jersey I wore because that is I'm a fan of no team right now. Now that I'm a hockey reporter again, I'm a fan of no team. Even though I am going on the Boston trip in a couple of weeks, so I'm very excited about that. Rick Roma says the biggest two moves, Fitz moves, Markey and Timo are duds. Fitz has to go. I think it's quick. I think it's too early to say Fitz is on the hot seat. I don't, I think that he's done a good job up to this point. I think you're getting, you're injury riddled right now, and no team could really sustain a lot of these injuries. But I will concede that right now you need way more production out of Timo. This is a guy that you paid, you extended 7 or 8 years. I can't remember at the top of my head, but you're paying a crap ton of money. You expect him to get more than 27 goals in a year at some point, right? It's something that he used to do in San Jose. Timo Meier, the pressure's on you, man. The microscope is on. Start potting some of these goals when your star player's out. This team needs you, so it's time to step up. Markey is obvious. Like I dove into the stats today. I can pull them up if you guys are curious. Just so bad. Like the advanced numbers on there. High danger save percentage, 57th out of 66 eligible goalies. And just about every metric of his has taken a dip this year. And that's including the baseline stats, if you want to look at that. Not a good start from him. He started slow in the past 2 seasons ago, like his last 2 seasons in Calgary. But every single other one of his like good seasons that Markstrom has had, elite seasons that Markstrom has had, he's always started the year hot. And so, there's this kind of theory out there. It's Markstrom starts cold. No, he's just started cold the past couple of years and hasn't really, picked it up necessarily into an elite level at least. Chizich, this is crazy. Bob is 21-8-1 lifetime versus Devils with 3 different teams. A true nemesis. I was just about to look that up too because there was so much Bobrovsky talk. I meant to look that up earlier. I completely forgot. That's crazy. That is a crazy wins-loss total there. M. Rodriguez says, guys need to step up. Totally agreed. Jack being out, don't justify the lack of offense. Of course he's missed, but we have great players that need to be scoring. Well said there, M. Rodriguez. Timo's the top of that list. I want to see some Jesper Bratt action too here at some point. See some goals there. Again, I'll reference this stat that I said earlier. The Devils have 2 guys in their past 10 games, probably 11 games now, that have scored multiple goals. And that's Dawson Mercer and that's Shimon Nemeth. Brutal. Got to get that fixed. Got to start getting these shots to go. Bob saw every puck. No tips or screens for sure. Devil Down Under. Again, I know this is Damien. I know this is, but on my end, I can't see your name. So weird. I gotta shut up. Shut up, Ryan. Our offense was piss poor tonight. I'm beginning to miss Jack Hughes big time. I don't blame you. I'm missing the guy too. I'm missing the guy from an interview perspective. Even though you don't think I would, because he could be sometimes a little, he could be short sometimes. But I'm missing him for sure on the ice. Jack Hughes is a treat to watch every night. He just gets this offense going so much, and they're gonna miss him. They have been missing him so much. Similar to the Islanders game for sure. Very similar, actually. Green Gang says, will Fitz actually do something to address the problems, or will he spend another year sitting on his hands? Um, I think he will. I think he'll try to make a big splash. I think the Devils will be in on some big splashy trades this year. Who that might end up being, I don't know off the top of my head. You should be in on a Kyrou. You should be in on another sniper. Do you try to go get a Jared McCann? I think that would be a good fit in this top six. You got to do something. You got to get a scorer in here somehow because the puck luck has just been terrible. Devil's Rink Report. The disgusting James Nichols says, yo, what are you doing tomorrow around 3:30? Anything. I'm going on the Devil's Rink Report, so be sure to subscribe to this dude right here. I almost just said a cuss word. Because I'll be on that and we're going to have a lot of fun and I'm just going to destroy James Nichols to his face and that's going to be great. Jay Snow, the Devils aren't a great forechecking team and lose too many battles along the walls. Yeah, this was another trend I noticed kind of at the beginning of the third, kind of changing a little bit. I saw this one little board battle from Nason that he won and I was like, okay, good. This is a little bit of a step up. I thought the Devils were a fine forechecking team at the beginning of the season. Like they went through really good forechecking spurts. It's just fallen off a cliff. It's fallen off a cliff. Yeah, you're losing way too many battles along the walls too. Got to get that cleaned up. Maybe you get another forechecker in here. I don't know how Ryan O'Reilly is in that regard. I'm sure he's great because he's just such a tenacious player and a guy that's kind of ugly to play against. But yeah, get someone else in there too. It's a struggle for them to maintain ozone time and having another forechecker would help with that. Again, that was a big plus for them at the beginning of the year. You saw sustained pressure, and in that 8-game winning streak, you saw sustained pressure, and that's why they were able to do it on the backs of that forecheck. But now it's just again falling off a cliff. We'll take a couple more here. Michael McSherry, they desperately need a 3C that is not Glass is not that guy. Oh, I don't know, Michael. I kind of think Glass has done a better job 3C wise than I anticipated this year. I had someone tell me this offseason that the Devils, they tried to get a 3C maybe, but they were more than fine with keeping Glass there at center at the 3C spot. Maybe that's just a sign of the league being so inactive this offseason, and they tried but just failed. But I think the early showing from him has been fine. Right? Like, I think he's good in the defensive end. I think he's shown some offensive glimpses as well. Glass is good. I am not going to disagree with you. And maybe this would be a good spot to bump him down another line, too. So you just have a fourth line that can, start sustaining, it start sustaining success at some point. I think Glass has been okay, though. But I do agree. Go get Ryan O'Reilly or someone like that. Plug him in at 3C and see how that changes things. Jay Snow says they had 21 scoring chances to our 12. Yeah. And even early on, like I think that Florida was held like to just a few shots here. It was like maybe in that first or early in the second. But they were all like I think I looked at all of them. They were all like high danger chances, like almost all of them at least. So they definitely generated some prime chances tonight. Guys, that's gonna do it. I'm going to wrap this up right now because it's a Devil's L, and I know that it'll just get depressing. I will be off. I will be off on Saturday, so don't look for a stream that night. But we'll get back to it on the next couple days. And be sure to subscribe, subscribe, share the link, tell your friends about the stream. We have a lot of fun, as you guys know. But thank you guys for all tuning in, and have a great day. Bye bye.